DBE fam, welcome back to the show. We've got such a fun guest here today. I'm so excited to be sitting here. I would be lying if I didn't say I'm a little bit nervous because what she teaches and what she's an expert in, well, I feel like I'm being judged right now, although I know you're not judging me. But Kim Rittberg, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I know everyone always comes on and they're like, is my background okay?
Oh, I don't care about that. I'm like, am I speaking okay? So
Well,
let's
I'm
just
taking
do,
notes. I'm
you're taking
taking
notes.
notes as we talk.
Perfect. I love this. That's actually why I have people on my episodes, so I can learn. But we can do like a whole little background. I have to read this from your website because this is insane. So you helped launch and ran US Weekly's video unit, leading them to its $100 million sale. You created marketing and branding and content campaigns for, oh, I don't know, Netflix, Fox, Inside Edition, Pop Sugar, The Travel Channel, Olay, Essie, Walgreens, and so many more. You've been doing digital content strategy and showing up as an expert executive producer in TV, video, social media, live stream, and audio platforms for like well over a decade. So the fact that number one, we got to work together is such a pinch me moment for me. But number two, when you have that level of expertise in such a professional arena, to want to step out and sort of do your own thing, create a course, create a coaching program, and put content out on the internet with all of this professional experience you have, a lot of people, number one, don't see that as an opportunity. They think they have to stay in this like very buttoned up professional arena. And number two, there's oftentimes a fear of like, can I actually do it on my own? Or should I be sharing all this information? So take us back real quick, because now today you're helping professionals and thought leaders with their businesses really become brands through video, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So take us back for a second to the moment that you decided, I'm going to go out on my own and try to build something when you had a probably really great job.
Yes. This is true. So I think it's like everybody's like life and career. It's like, it looks so glamorous. And I'm not gonna lie, some parts were glamorous. But like I went to the Oscars. That was a high point. I think for me, working in TV was amazing. Like getting to just tell stories on such a large scale and learn from people. Like people would sit you down and be like, here's how to write a script. Here's how to make sure people are watching. I learned how to train like thousands of people for on camera. I really like got to perfect my skills, which was so fun. And then building the video unit for Us Weekly was unreal. Like just getting to build a business on someone else's dime. And also having the flexibility, like it, the digital revolution is here, was here, came at that moment. And I got to be a part of it, was super exciting. It gave me the confidence to know I could do something on my own. It also gave me epiphany of like, I need to leave media. I want to have more control in my life. I actually was working when I was giving birth to my second child. The company's being bought for $100 million. And just like any acquisition, a lot of people are fired. I wasn't fired, but basically half my team was quitting. And I was in the hospital with the IV in my arm. And I'm like, I'm on my iPhone, like filling roles of people quitting. And it just, life felt out of whack.
Yeah.
I was like, I love what I do, but there's got to be a different way. And so I knew right then I wanted to launch my own business, but it still took me another 2 years to do it. It's just like, that's the natural flow of even people like me who have a lot of experience and confidence in my skills. It's still the like, can I do it? Should I do it? Is this the right thing? Am I afraid? And so it definitely took me 2 years to be like, no, I'm doing this. I'm committed to it. No matter what happens, like I'm just moving forward. And so I'm like in maybe year 5, I think now.
Okay. Had you tried anything in those 2 years? Like, did you throw spaghetti at the wall and then kind of back away? Like, ooh, that's scary. You're not sure if that worked.
I made $7,000 in freelance money. And I was
Okay.
like, how do I make this like a career? And so I was like, so actually I felt like, I don't know what this means. I don't know how I can do this. And so I took in those 2 years, I took 2 other jobs. Like I worked at Netflix and Pop Sugar, but I knew I wanted to work for myself, but I didn't necessarily have like financial figures to be like, this is definitely the right move. I kind of just was like, no, like I have to do this. Like, I just need to.
Yeah. And did you know at the time what it would look like? Did you know what your offers were going to be?
No. So and this is why like I loved our work together, is the whole digital world was like totally new to me. And so coming from media, basically you go off on your own, you build a production company and you make videos or TV content for people all day, every week, every year, every month. And it's grueling.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like it's nice because you have like deliverables, but it's really grueling. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Or maybe you're an on-camera trainer full-time and you train people to be on camera all day. And I like that. And that's a part of my business. But then there wasn't anything else. And so I met one friend of mine, she left media and she started teaching as a part of her business. And I was like, what's that thing? I like teaching. Like I like teaching. I'm very extroverted and I like the strategy more than I currently like the production. So I was like, is there something there?
Got it. Okay. I love this idea of teaching because so many times people think I can't create a course. I can't create a coaching program. I have no skill. I don't know anything. And there's such a huge misconception because I believe everybody has a course living inside of them. Because especially if you're 20, 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, I mean, you have decades of lived experience, unique perspective, and a personal toolbox that you've collected over the years of different skills, different people, different networks, and just different random things that you could actually package up and teach people. And in scrolling through your content, some of my favorite things that I see you teach is actually what could seem like, well, everybody knows that, duh. But an example is you posted recently, maybe not recently, but recently-ish, like how you filmed yourself in Paris when you were solo. And that's the type of stuff that people don't actually know that, or people might not be comfortable with it, or they might think that I have to have a tripod and all this fancy equipment. And then here you are putting up this really simple piece of content, this really simple reel, literally breaking down the how. Did you ever come up against that thought process of like, well, I don't actually have anything to teach? Was that ever something for you?
Yeah, so it's funny, like what you were saying earlier about this like professional content versus do-it-yourself content. Like that was when I first started showing up on camera. I'm like, I'm not a camera person. I'm actually a writer, producer, director. And I'm like, I can't put out iPhone content. But then soon I was like, I gotta put out iPhone content because just I'm a business owner just like anyone else. So I'm not always going to spend the money for a professional videographer. It's also not necessarily the most time efficient. It's not the most money efficient. And I was like, I just got to start putting stuff out there. But one thing I've realized is you have to start like thinking about your process and, how do you do the things you do? What are the things you know? And things that you think are natural to you are not natural to people.
Yeah.
And so I think, it's funny the thing about like, oh, this is obvious to other people. Sometimes, yes, but other times now that I'm like really in the groove of like teaching and coaching, I'm like, none of this is obvious to other people. Like I literally have trained like a congressperson and I'm like, I'm going to take out these like this do's and don'ts of like being on TV. This congressperson doesn't know those things. This is not things that people know innately, inherently, unless you are like a public speaker or unless you were in media or something, like you wouldn't know that. So I think pretty quickly I was like, actually, all these people are coaches, consultants, real estate agents. Why would they know this? And I actually start the course like that. I'm like, don't feel bad about what you don't know. Why would you know this? I don't know how to do my finances well. I don't know how to be a nutritionist. Like, so I think all these things is like destigmatizing the idea of like, it's shameful to not know, or like, we're all learning this together. And I'm honest with people like, I've taken coaches. I've had consultants help me. We all need help, and that's part of it. You got to invest in yourself to grow.
Yeah. And I love that approach that you take too, where it's like, first and foremost, it's totally fine if you don't know this. You're not supposed to know this. Your expertise is in a different area. It's no different than hiring a plumber or going to the dentist. It's like, we're not supposed to know all those things. So we go to a specialist. I love that so much. Okay. Tell everyone, because I'm just dying to know, can you come up with 3 things that we should do? And I say should very lightly in quotes, but 3 things that we should do to be better on camera.
Oh, yes. Number 1, 2, and 3 is judge yourself less. Every single person comes to me. Do you notice this thing on my cheek? Do you notice my thing on my tooth? Do you notice I have a scar here? And I'm like, no one notices that. And so we're our own worst critic. So I think like the very first thing for like 90% of my students is just like, no one puts you under the microscope like you do. And then right after that is shift out of supermodel mode and shift into teacher mode. So stop thinking about your hair and your lipstick and your mole and your this and your that. Really focus on the message. And I think that's like the biggest unlock for people. We all have things to teach. And to your point earlier about like, you think everybody knows things, they don't. That's why you're in your industry. So the things that you might teach someone are not news. Like I've had people in my group teaching people the right water bottle to drink more water. Well, that might seem obvious, but like, it's actually not that obvious. Some actually are like straws you drink more rather than a cup. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So to me, that's new. To someone else, it's not. So I think, so yes, One, don't be so harsh on yourself. Two, shift from teacher mode to supermodel mode. And then three, really like build up your confidence that you have something important to say. Because I think that we are always just questioning ourselves and we're like, does this make any sense? Like, I promise you it makes sense. I promise people want to hear from you. And so having an idea of what you're going to say before you go on camera. Otherwise, that's how you end up with like a 5-minute Instagram live or like sorry, not Instagram live, a 5-minute,
Like
you're
intro.
just going to say an intro and you're like, why am I still talking? Why are you still talking? Have a little bullet point before you start talking.
Yeah, I love that tip so much. There's no shame in that, especially for someone who's beginning. I mean, back in the day, I would stick a Post-it note to my phone with the bullet points of what I wanted to say. And it's repetition, right? So the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, the more you say the different things in your business, the easier it gets. So definitely over time, I mean, Instagram for a long time, stories were 15 seconds. And we have a whole module called 15 seconds to sell. But I can say my point in like 14.9 seconds without a timer. Because I've just done it so many times. So we were first introduced about a year ago, right around this time a year ago. I'm not even sure how we met. I don't know how we came into each other's world.
I think Mike, who I met like once, he's like, I did Jessica's class. It's really good. I was like, okay. I was like, yeah.
Oh, Mike
Walker?
Mike Walker. Yeah.
Well, I met once and then he recommended you and I was like, yeah, I should do this. This is what I need to do.
Amazing. Okay. So about a year ago, Mike Walker tells you to join this program, Empower, and you're like, yeah, this is what I should do. Why? What were you looking for?
So I definitely knew I wanted to teach people. I realized basically I had one friend who was doing coursework, like coaching and courses, and nobody else in my field was doing it. I knew that I like to teach. I knew that one of the things I had to do is systematize, operationalize. I needed to up level in sales, up level in the contracts, up level in all the nitty gritty that goes into the back of it. Like I had done one launch before this course and it went well. And it was a good way for me to like work out the material, force myself to think out my process, actually put pen to paper about what I'm teaching. It didn't have the infrastructure. And I think and I never really knew sales. So I think there were a lot of little things that were in Empower that I was like, I need like a structure. I need to learn. I need accountability. I need to like go through the thing of understanding what is this thing. I didn't want to wing it because I knew that this is going to be something I'm going to continue to do. And so I was like, I want to build the foundation. You said that we don't want to build the foundation on sand.
Yeah, quicksand. That's right. Not at all.
Quicksand, wet sand. We want to put it on wet sand that becomes brick.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's so funny that you remember that. So you come into the program, you're able to kind of put your ego aside, which honestly is the hardest part for a lot of people to say, I actually am looking for the carpool lane, like the lane we can go faster in. It's like, let me just learn from someone who's done it before. Let me plug into the systems and maybe I don't know everything. So I commend you on this podcast in front of everyone listening, the thousands of people listening to this, for putting your ego aside, because that really is truly the hardest part. I'm curious, because you said you have been in business now for about 5 years, and that was only a year ago. So what did those other 4 years look like? I mean, how much grinding were you doing and hustling were you doing? Or like you said, you had launched once before. What was happening in those 4 years?
Yeah. So I had several big corporate clients and I loved the work. But even working 3 days a week, which was like, this was my dream. I'm like, I'm only working 3 days a week. This is awesome. I still really wanted an even more flexible, controlled existence. Like I was like, I don't want to work any days in the summer, or I want to work 7 hours a week in the summer. Like I just wanted even more control, and maybe that's just being greedy. But I was like, I really want wherever I can put my knowledge and help people, but also totally on my own schedule. And I find that that's what drew me to coaching. And then so I did some corporate work. And then I did one-on-one, and I like one-on-one, but I do really like the energy of the group. And I also think certain people in the group end up continuing working with me in other ways, in a mastermind, or I help them launch a podcast, or just like various things. So I still do some one-on-one work because I still like it. And I'm more handhold in those programs, but I just like the energy of Video Bootcamp's really fun. The more I've done it, the better I've gotten at it, the more I'm able to like, I even like watching you, the way you put structure around the course and expectations on people. I think that's one of the things when I did my first launch, and before I had met you and taken Empower, I liked even just seeing how you're doing things, saying like, these are my expectations of you. Like you're giving me money and I'm going to teach you, but these are my expectations of you. Cause I actually remember in one of my courses, like somebody showed up and would like be negative and like complain. And I'm like, hey, technology is frustrating sometimes. And that's true. Sometimes you're going to post a video and no one likes it and you feel like garbage and that stinks. We're going to cheer each other on. We're not here to unload our complaints. We're here to like support. If you have real questions, I will absolutely answer questions. But I think it was like putting the structure around expectations and like not self-advocacy, being resourceful, you know? So I really like that I got to learn that both by watching you, but also you're teaching that.
Yeah. What a great, I just got goosebumps. Like, what a great way to look at things. That's like, there's a reason you're so successful because you're looking at it through the lens of I'm a consumer and I want to learn the content, but also I'm a business owner and I'm going to take my rose-colored lenses off and I'm going to ask better questions. And as I think Tony Robbins was the one who initially said, like, the quality of your life is dependent on the questions that you ask. And if you want better answers, you got to ask better questions. And when you're doing that and you're sort of zooming out 30,000 feet going, well, why is she doing that right now? Not just how many am I supposed to, how many times am I supposed to post? What am I supposed to say? It's like, well, wait a minute. I noticed you did this. Why did you do that? Right. So again, just want to edify you for that. So you come into Empower. I think from the get-go, we were pretty much on the same path of what you wanted to build. There wasn't like a major pivot for you, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely was like, I want to teach people how to make videos with their iPhones.
Yeah.
And so that's basically like how to be better on camera and then what to make, brainstorm, ideation, scripting, and then how to make it, the technical, and then like how to build out your content calendar. So it's basically like, that's the same idea.
Yeah. Do you remember what you first sold the course for? How much?
Oh, well, don't tell anyone now who's buying the course.
We don't have to go there. Actually, it's okay if you don't want to share.
It's less than now, but now has more. Now I give more. Yeah. So now I'm charging more now than I was then.
Yeah. And you go through your first launch and you had about a $25,000 launch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not too shabby.
Launch. I was like, this is very good. I was like, this is great. This is great.
Yeah. I mean, $25,000 launch, obviously making your investment back and more. We're now a year later and your Instagram account relatively is not large. I mean, you're not even at 5,000 followers now. So this is probably 4,000 followers at the time, no paid ads, and probably not a massive email list.
Nope.
Okay.
And part of my business that I tell people, I'm like, you don't need a big following to make money. If you have expertise, like when someone's like, if someone looks at my social and is like, oh, well, between Instagram and LinkedIn, you have like 10,000, like I have a podcast also called The Exit Interview. Like, oh, you only have 10,000. I'm like, but I'm an expert in my field. So like, I don't teach you to go viral.
Yeah.
Like that's not, my goal is not to teach you to go viral. My goal is to make people trust you, make people like you, and help you get sales. And so I practice what I preach. I make a very healthy income and I have about 5,000 people on Instagram, about 4,000 or 5,000 on LinkedIn. And I'm very well respected in my field. I've won 6 awards. I speak at Fast Company. I write for Fast Company. So it's like, you don't need to be viral. You don't need to be an influencer to make money. Yeah. You don't need to go viral or be an influencer to have people trust you that you're an expert. And so some of the people that I think I work with that I think are brilliant have like 500 followers. They are so smart and they can change people's lives. So I was like, why wouldn't someone invest money with that person? They can change your life. It just means that they haven't put in the time or bought followers or whatever. So I think that the expectation that you need to have this huge following to make good money is just not true. You have to really be good at what you do and you have to be able to communicate your value in what you do and make people feel and make people feel good.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you're such an expert in. And that is probably why you have had the success you have had, because you're approachable and you're relatable, but you're an expert. You have the authority and the credibility. And when you are able to package it up in a way, like you said, where you can communicate that, which comes a lot of times for you in the form of video or your podcast, then you're golden. It's just about solving problems for people, right? That they have that they don't want.
Yeah.
Okay. Incredible. You've continued now to launch this same course. You've iterated on it. You've made minor little tweaks. How many rounds have you run?
I'm so tired, Jess. I ran 4.
You did 4 this year?
I did 4 this year because, okay. Now I don't want to run in the summer again, but I find only the launching tiring. Yeah. The actual course I enjoy.
Sure.
But anyway, so in this coming year, I'm only going to launch twice.
Awesome.
And I'm going to try to package more people into each one. But I launched 4 times. And it actually did help me because each time I got better, I got clear on what people needed, and I ended up tweaking the coursework to be even richer for people. So I think that by doing it so many times, it did make the course better.
Yeah.
So I did one launch before you, four launches since working with you.
Yeah. Incredible. It's so cool when you're able to use a lather, rinse, repeat process too, because you really don't need to make many changes. You shouldn't make many changes. It's all about the tweaking and iterating. Like you said, you get better at the messaging, you get better with the content, the delivery, all of it. So I'm stoked to see what you do this year. If people want to learn more about you and how they can work with you, what do you have going on?
So I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn at Kim, Kimrittberg. I also have a podcast called The Exit Interview with Kim Rittberg about self-employed folks crushing it basically on their own terms and advice and stories. And I have free downloads on kimrittberg.com. So 10 ways to make better videos, to grow your revenue, how to shine on camera. So all different sorts of goodies, free on my website, kimrittberg.com.
Did you create one of those in Empower?
I created two of those before Empower, but more since then.
Yes.
And I've done different funnels since then. And also I'll say the sales modules that you had in there were super helpful to me. I itch with the word sales, even though I believe selling and serving, I believe it. It's hard to do. Selling and serving, I do believe it. I think the right people want to work with me. I think I can help them, but it's not a thing I had done much before. When you talk about corporate clients, I sold in 3 people a year. You know? And so I think that was super, super, super helpful. And that's helped me every single time. I'm like really able to like explain the value, like know how to follow up with people, how to make it feel good and not icky for both sides. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that because I watched the content. I was like, replay. I was like on the Peloton. I'm like, replay this part. I need to watch that again.
I love it. Who's your favorite Peloton instructor?
Oh my God. I interviewed Robin Arzón on my podcast.
I know you did. I saw that.
Yeah. I actually love Alex Toussaint. He's so good.
Yeah.
I love him.
They're all so great. So many of them are. Well, we gave my Peloton to my dad when we left New York and moved into the RV. So I'm like never on the app anymore. But some of them are my really good friends. I used to work with many of them. So I was
about to ask you that.
Yeah. I worked with Rebecca, Andy, Callie, Jess Sims. I mean, I really worked with like majority of them in New York. So I love them all.
You can't say, right? You can't pick a favorite.
I can't. I do. I love them all so much. And there's different types of workouts too, you know, like there's different vibes you want for different workouts, but amazing. Quick for a little rapid fire, like 1-2 punch. You good for that?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do a fun one. If you, of all people, were to give a TED Talk on nothing you're known for, what would it be? Such a hard question.
Oh my God. I feel like people already know that I do these things. I used to do improv comedy. I used to have a jewelry line. So maybe I would do that.
You had jewelry line?
I did have a jewelry line.
Same.
I sold it in Henry Bendel and Bloomingdale's. You did too? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went to FIT. Yeah.
I knew FIT.
I had a jewelry line.
What was it called? It's called like Kitty. It was like called Kitty and Pearls. Kitties and Pearls.
Glaze Accessories.
Mine was K Ritt and no one could spell it. And I was like, why did I make my brand this? It was bad name. It's a bad name. Where'd you sell yours? Where'd you sell it?
So I was in a bunch of boutiques in New York City, a bunch, Excel Spa. They're like yoga and spa. They were in all the Excels in New York, and I sold on like Etsy and stuff like that. Yeah. And some shops in Jersey as well, boutiques. Yeah.
I used to stand in Bloomingdale's and do trunk shows for my jewelry during the holidays. If I never hear Mariah Carey Christmas album, which is amazing, but if I never hear it again, it's too soon. I would just be on repeat in my head for like 12 hours a day.
That is so funny. I didn't know that. Wow. Wild. You can like know someone and not even know. What a fun fact. Okay. Last question. We're just going to do 2 quickies. If I were to cut you a check for $50,000 tomorrow, how would you invest it in or on your business? You could split it up or use it in one lump sum.
Oh, I was going to be like, I'm going to live abroad with my family. That's not the option.
Sure.
Okay. Oh my God. How would I invest $50,000 in my business? I would get like a coach to help me decide that. And then I would apply it to whatever they told me to do. Now, I think I would. Oh my God, this is really hard. What did other people say?
Well, it depends what season you're in. I don't know what I don't know where your focus is.
Yeah. I mean, things that I'm focusing on over the next few years. I'm getting more paid speaking gigs. I've been getting paid speaking gigs, which has been fantastic. I would hire somebody to do that grunt work for me of reaching out.
Yeah.
I would hire somebody to spread the word about me to more people. And I'll be running higher ticket programs, and I would have somebody like kind of doing that with me and then getting the word out. I'd probably be putting a lot of money into paid. I'll do some paid ad spend, and I would have somebody doing all the reach out for speaking gigs because I love to speak.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can tell.
I love
to
it.
talk.
I love it. Kim, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so grateful for you. It's been so fun to watch your journey. I can't wait to continue watching it grow and evolve as it does. And I'm just so grateful for the conversation.
Well, thank you for helping me on my path. I always say it was so amazing to be in Empower, and I'm really appreciative. And we should exchange jewelry gifts during holidays.
I would love that. I have to get back to my roots of making some things. I'll see if I can find some stuff and we'll scrounge it up. Thank you so much, friends. If you love this episode, which I'm sure you did, take a screenshot, share it on social, tag Kim at Kim Rittberg. That's with 2 T's. Tag me at I am Jessica DeRose. Let us know what one of your takeaways was, even if it was just this aha moment of maybe seeing what's possible for yourself, or maybe it had to do with the things that you should absolutely make sure you're doing when you are going on video. I know I definitely took a lot away from that. And as always, cheers to your evolution. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, I invite you to be a part of our ripple effect and share it with a friend. And please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I'll be forever grateful. Until next time, cheers to your evolution.